forget, you can hear the full-length, longer version wherever you get your podcasts. Oh, joyous laughter. Before we've even begun our interview, my guest today is, he knows we've asked him to be a little bit closer to the mic, but it's difficult because...
Leaning back at the moment.
Yeah, I feel, but you're poised, aren't you?
I've just realised my arms are folded. That's a closed gesture. It's not going to be that kind of interview.
I'll ask you again, Minister. Were you there? Mathew Baynton is my guest, and we're recording this towards the middle end of November, heading towards Christmas. But you are not going to be going into Christmas in a relaxed frame of mind, are you?
We'll see.
Well, not with all that you've got on.
There's a lot on. Lots of it is stuff I've already done.
Wonka. I've heard you're in Wonka.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yes, I am, yeah.
How exciting is that?
Enormously exciting. Genuinely just on many, many levels, kind of the biggest thing I've been part of.
Is it the biggest project so far? Yeah.
Certainly in terms of scale and budget and kind of worldwide marketing and excitement. And
Matt Lucas is your co-star in it. Do you share story together in it?
Yeah, so Matt Lucas and Patterson Joseph and me are... Patterson is Slugworth. He's this kind of the main kind of antagonist villain in the story. And we are a trio of evil chocolatiers.
Oh, how lovely.
So all my stuff was with them pretty much.
Oh, lovely.
It was great fun.
People would probably know Patterson best from Peep Show, is that fair to say?
I think so.
Where he played...
He played Johnson, David Mitchell's boss, and was just...
He was great, wasn't he?
Extraordinary.
Yeah.
The lovely thing, actually, I'd met Matt before and I'd worked with Patterson before, and I knew Paul and Simon Farnaby co-wrote it.
Paul King is directing it.
Mm-hmm.
What's the basic story then? Because it's not the Charlie in the Chocolate Factory story,
no,
is it?
It's a prequel. It's a sort of origin story. So it's Wonka. How did this young guy,
chocolatier,
sort of arriving in town with not a penny to his name, nothing but the shirt on his back, kind of thing.
God, nothing on his feet,
how did
nothing
he?
On his legs, horrible.
Well, that was
dangling,
metaphorical. But
it was metaphorical.
Yeah. Although I think most audiences would be fine with Timothée Chalamet showing up with nothing but a shirt.
So in comes Timothée Chalamet.
Yes.
Did you get on with him?
Yes, lovely guy.
How much does Hugh Grant feature in it then?
Quite a bit.
Does he?
It's... I mean, Simon... I remember Simon showed me the script sort of possibly before he was authorised to. Right, shall we say. I had a little sneak preview of it.
Because you have an affinity. You and he go way back, don't you?
So we go back a long way with my gang that I've done lots of work with. We were filming Ghosts, and I can't even remember which series, and we were coming to the end of it, and Simon and I happened to be in a two-hander scene together, so we were chatting in between takes, and it was right at the end of the shoot, and we were talking about what are you doing next? And I had I'd been offered another show at the RSC and was considering doing it, and told him, and was saying my only hesitation is there's a tour attached to it. It's quite a long time away from home. Yeah. But I'm thinking I might do it. And he said, I probably shouldn't do this because I don't want to jump the gun. And obviously with these things, there's lots of executives who have to be involved in these decisions.
Exciting.
But Paul and I have written a part which we wrote with you in mind for Wonka. And that would clash with the thing that you're talking about. So I then sort of had to decide whether or not to take the risk of turning down a job I was being offered for one that I might not be offered. So... who dares wins. Yes, who dares wins. So I did. And I have ended up back at the RSC, so that's worked out fine. But yeah, he showed me the script and I just thought it was amazing.
Right.
I really felt like it had the magic and the warmth and the soul, and is just hilarious. And then they started telling me who else was being attached, and Olivia Colman and Tom Davis.
Is he in it?
He and Olivia are really, really funny together in this film. And Keegan-Michael Key, who is an absolute hero of mine, who plays the chief of police. And so we have lots of scenes with him, and it was just...
Where did you shoot it?
Leavesden.
Oh, right,
Warner
you're up
Brothers.
there. Yeah. So that's huge sound stages, proper filmmaking.
I've not done a studio film before, and I've never been to those kind of... I've done a lot of stuff in Elstree, which is quite small.
Yeah.
But to sort of arrive at the studios and still have a 15-minute drive left in your journey, where you're just driving past all these other massive productions, and you're sort of not sure. I think there was a kind of apocalyptic thing that was being shot.
Yeah.
And I didn't initially realise it was set, because...
You just thought they'd let the place go to ruin.
I thought there were all these, like... I thought they were old workshops and things that were falling down. And then you turn the corner and you see the back of them is just flat. Wow. And you go, oh, no, that must be...
That's what it's like, when you do a studio tour in America and you go on the tours, you see the big old sets. There's a lovely feeling. There's something very nice about being just a cog in the huge machine of a huge studio picture. Because you just got to do your bit as well as you can, and pretty much everybody else at the top of their game. Is that how it felt?
It kind of did. It was surprisingly the sort of the nature of that, and as intimidating as it was completely offset by the fact that once you've got through all of that and you've been through costume and makeup and the rest of it, and you end up stood in a little huddle in front of the camera.
Yes,
it was Paul and it was Matt and it was Patterson and people mostly that I knew from sort of TV comedy.
Yeah.
So it kind of felt like it was the same gang. We were just in a plusher playground, but it's the same game.
Now then, Ghosts, huge success, wonderful individual show, very much its own thing. Great cast, all the like Farnaby and the guy Jim Howick. I love Lolly
Adefope.
Oh, she's very good. Yeah. Did you see what she did with Partridge in the Steve's thing? Yeah, I thought she was fantastic.
Lolly is incredible.
Yeah,
I think she's an absolute superstar.
Yeah, she's got a very special quality, isn't she?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when you work with someone, it's sort of. And you can see, you wouldn't necessarily as an audience know the difference between a performer who's doing a great job nailing a script or someone who brings something. And she makes choices again and again that you just go, oh, she found something. Like, she's one of those brilliant. There's no sort of stone unturned to find extra value and extra comedy.
And
she's incredible.
Ghosts came from the fact that your group, and you have a sort of name for your sort of collective, don't you?
Well, we ended up giving ourselves a name But
is it a company or is it just something you've given yourselves a name?
We've just given ourselves a name because we didn't want to get bogged down with being business people. So we didn't actually start a company. Them there.
This is great.
Well, we just thought, you can't really name yourself retrospectively
but it's not a business then.
No, it was literally just to have a card on the credits of the show and to be able to sort of brand anything that we subsequently do, because by the time we were doing Ghosts, we had done... we'd met on Horrible Histories. We'd done a film about Shakespeare called Bill. We'd done a show called Yonderland for Sky. And it was like, oh, this thing, it seems as though we're now a group.
Yeah.
Like, at this point, having done 3 or 4 different things, So we ought to give ourselves a name so that people can identify when we do a new thing that it's
But
them.
you met on Horrible Histories?
Yes.
So prior to that, you didn't know each other?
No, some of us had sort of met on the circuit or were kind of...
And then by chance, you all got employed on Horrible Histories?
Yeah, we're the Spice Girls, not the Beatles, shall we say. We were put together.
So
anyway.
who's the core then?
I thought you were going to say who's scary, who's... Okay. So myself, Ben Wilbond, Jim Howick, Simon Farnaby, Martha Howe Douglas and Larry Rickard.
Right, okay. And so you meet on Horrible Histories. At the time, you're thinking, it's a kid's show.
Yeah.
No idea that it would catch on the way it did.
No, not at all. In fact, to the point where, I've told this story before, but my agent sort of called me with that. And this was very early in my career.
Yeah.
And all I'd done really was the odd sort of like one-line part in a sitcom.
Because where are we now on the time scale? What year is this?
When would this be?
Roughly.
It must be 15 years ago or maybe even more now.
Which would be, what, about the late early 2000s?
Late noughties, yeah.
The late noughties, yes, right, okay.
And yeah, she said, we've got this audition come in if you want it for a sketch show for CBBC. And I said, I don't think so. I worried that doing something on children's TV would mean that was my career.
Yes.
You know, that it would sort of define or set me off on a path. And I was thinking, well, I want to do grown-up comedy. That's what I'm interested in. And not just comedy. And she said, well, it's CBBC, so no one will notice, actually. So if you
not in London,
so she said, read a few of the sketches and see, and if you like them, why not? Just go for it. And so I read them and I thought they were really funny. They were kind of Python-esque, Blackadder-esque in tone. And I went and auditioned with all of the kind of relaxed arrogance of a person who thinks, well, I probably don't want to do this. Yeah. And I'm so glad I didn't know who else they were lining up, because I was a fan of Simon Farnaby and Katie Wicks, both of whom I'd seen doing stuff live. And I would have been intimidated at the thought of joining them, being in their company. So, yeah, I kind of just loosely made my way through that audition, got offered the job, and luckily wasn't too stupid or conceited to say yes to it. But she was wrong. People did notice. Yeah. And yeah, the rest is
horrible
history. The rest is horrible history.
So you do that. How many series of that did you do?
We did 5.
Right. And you go, hey, we've got a thing here, haven't we? We
exactly.
already hit it off here.
Yeah.
What else can we do?
Yeah. That was literally it. It was just, we'd had so much fun. And we kind of wanted to do something where we got to take the reins as well.
Yes. Yes.
And so yeah, we literally just kind of got in a room and started kind of brainstorming other ideas. And
have you at any point has that become a proper production company that owns formats and all that kind of stuff?
It always felt like it's really precious to be able to still be friends as a group of writer-performers.
So true. The minute you bring the business into it, with the best will in the world, it's not the same.
And you look back at people who've had groups.
Yes.
And, the battlefield is littered with the corpses of their friendships.
That's true.
Shall we say. So we thought, we want to still be friends. We want to love writing and performing our stuff. And business would...
We don't want to own our own formats. We want them to be exploited by other people.
Well, that's the sad price that you do have.
It is. That is the price you pay.
It is.
For leaving your friendships safe and lovely, and you can just relate to each other as very poor, financially insecure friends.
It does certainly mean that there are other people making money from things that you have done.
So you did Yonderland,
yes, yeah,
right. And then where does Ghosts fit then in that timeline?
So we were making Yonderland. I think it was around about the second series of that, and we felt that the 3 was probably going to be the limit on that format.
Yeah,
for it to not get crap. And a couple of people at the BBC were sniffing around and saying, have you got something else?
Oh, not literally.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that would be odd, wouldn't it?
Metaphorically. And so it was the same process again, really. We got in a room and...
So where did the idea come from, though? Because it's such a solid idea, isn't it? It's such a kind of sort of high concept vadump idea.
Well, the funny thing is, I'd written down... I came to this meeting with a very sparse Word document on which were sort of like literally 3 or 4
words,
bullet points of ideas, and one of them was haunted house. Because the thing for us was always that we can't... What we'd done to date was always dressing up.
Yes.
It was always multi-character.
Yeah.
So Horrible Histories obviously was history. Yonderland was fantasy. And we kind of knew we can't now just do a sitcom where we're wearing sort of jeans and T-shirts. It's not what our audience would expect, and it's not our tone. So we kind of knew we were looking for something that had a heightened world for us to play in, possibly multi-character, and kind of, a dressing up box to raid. And Haunted House felt like an idea. Okay, well, it's not a sketch show and it doesn't have to be factual, but it would mean that we could play people from all different eras, and it gives us a kind of new tone, which would be a bit of horror, a bit of gothic something. And we all got very excited by this, spent a day kind of laughing as we devised characters. We sort of had that idea that however you die is how you would stay for eternity. So
that's a nice idea.
What would be the most embarrassing?
So how did Simon's come?
Well, that was that. It was literally sort of, okay, what's the most embarrassing?
So how did he die then? He dies while being...
He is a politician who has died conducting an affair. So he's got no trousers for eternity.
And you can so believe that he's a Tory MP. Is his party stated in it? Or
it is.
We do know he's a Conservative.
Yeah, we know that. Yeah,
you just so buy him. You so buy him as being that person.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the funny thing is, his voice came more from an impression of Tony Blair.
Oh, really?
Simon used to do this impression of Tony Blair, which was just the word services, where he'd go, services. And so he kind of went into that riff when we were coming up with this politician character, and that stuck.
And Jim Howick is the scout.
The scout master with an arrow through his neck. And so it felt rich immediately. Yeah, and we sort of said, we ended that day saying, brilliant, we're back here tomorrow, see you at 10, and we'll start writing. We'll write a hatful of episode ideas, and then we'll kind of use the best one to develop a script with. And we came back the next morning and stared at the walls and just couldn't. We were just like, they don't have jobs. They don't need jobs. They don't need to eat. They don't need to put food on the table.
You've got no parameters.
What are they trying? What's anyone trying to do?
Right.
If you're just
because at this stage, all you've got is the haunted house. You don't have the modern day people yet.
I think we had the idea of modern people,
right,
so that one of them has an accident, so they can see the ghost. Because we knew.
Great idea.
The first idea was that they have an accident and become a ghost, and so there'd be your introduction as an audience into the world of being a ghost, because they're learning the ropes. And then we decided, no, it would be better if they're the new living occupants and one of them has an accident, then they can see them. And No, it was pushing beyond that and saying, well, what are the objectives that give you story? What's the engine for story between these ghosts? And we just couldn't crack it. And we abandoned the whole thing, worked on a sci-fi idea for a while.
Did you?
And then eventually came back to it with the mindset that the boredom of eternity is, the problem is the solution in a way. Yeah. That is the rich. Yeah. That's where the riches will be.
Yeah.
And the sort of the idea that unlocked it was that we start with the death of the old lady who owns the house, and the first thing they do is argue about who gets her room. And it was the sort of petty squabbling that then became, well, that's what it's about. It's if you have eternity, there's only sort of trivial matters left. That's all you can fill your time with. So that's what it became. Is sort
great
of,
idea.
What do they fill their time with? They create clubs and then they argue about the rules of their clubs because they've got nothing else in their lives or their afterlives.
Was it a hit instantly?
Yeah.
Oh, how very nice.
Yeah. It was, I'm afraid. It landed. But it was a new thing. It was a new show, but we weren't new.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we did already have that audience.
And the exciting news for the fans of Ghost, of course. I mean, and it's sweeping the land. Is the Christmas is coming, and you've been kind enough to shoot. I suppose it's a special episode for Christmas. Maybe you'd call it a Christmas special.
A Christmas special, yes, which it's become a fixture of our schedule since the second series,
lovely?
Which is
Isn't
so
that
nice.
Lovely, where people want and look forward to a Christmas special of your show.
And it's kind of, it makes sense as ghost stories are often part of Christmas.
Yes, they are, yeah.
And also Christmas is so much about family, and our show sort of turned out to be, which I think is possibly the secret to its success, is that on the face of it, it's a kind of supernatural high concept thing, but actually it's a family sitcom.
Yeah,
it's just that they're a kind of proxy family.
So tease us with, you can't tell us too much about it, I don't want to give the game away, but tease us with some of what we can expect in the Christmas special.
Well, this one is the end.
The end of Ghosts for Good.
For good. So it is very much...
He's walking away from a hit. Oh!
We are walking away from a hit.
All right,
and
your head be it.
Okay. We have written very much an end.
Oh, please. So, I'm going to say, don't tell me they die. But
yes, well, that's the one thing you can be absolutely certain they're not going to do. They've already jumped that shark.
Yes.
So, yes, but it is still a Christmassy... It's a warm
everything
Christmassy
gets tied
show.
Up, does it? Everything gets wrapped up.
The show does finish with this.
Wow.
So
wow.
Yeah. And it's got, it's got drama and it's got excitement, but it's also got, real warm family story as well. Yeah. We're really proud of it.
I can't let you go.
Okay. Yep.
I can't let you go without mentioning the only thing that we've worked on together.
Yes.
Which was, en français, Gavin Stacey. We didn't do much together, but we would have been in that scene. So you were Dino.
I was.
One of Gavin's friends from Essex. How did that role come about?
We came over.
You already knew James?
I already knew James. We'd done a film called Telstar.
Is that how you met him?
That's how we met, yeah.
Which was directed by Nick Moran, who I was in Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels with. Everything is connected,
6 Degrees
isn't it?
Of Kevin Bacon.
Yes. So that's how you ended up in Gavin Stacey.
Yes, we hit it off on Telstar. We sort of found kindred, naughty boys at the back of the class kind of spirits. And and we're just making each other laugh a lot. And then he got me an audition for the estate agent in series 2.
Yeah.
And I came in and wasn't good enough at that.
To play that part. That part
which
was beyond you.
Yes, and
I'm
they
sorry,
gave that
Matt,
quite
but-
rightly to Mark Wootton.
Oh, Mark Wootton did it, didn't
But
he? Yes,
very
he did.
sweetly, I think, Chris and Ruth saw something enough to sort of say, well, he wasn't right for that, but we'd love to do something.
I thought you were about to say, well, he wasn't that bad. There must be something he can do.
We can give him something small that he can't really mess up.
So
they wrote
Dino's
Dino.
Dino's best bit, just from memory, was when he's come down to Barry and he thinks everyone's going to speak Welsh.
Yes, that was such a treat that they gave me, because I'd been glimpsed in moments. There were a couple of funny scenes, I think, in that series, but they gave me that little storyline with the Welsh speaking, which was so fun. And Ruth had recorded, I think, all the Welsh lines down the phone so that I could learn them phonetically.
And you look so earnest.
I had no idea what I was saying.
You look so earnest.
And also, Rob, I was so starstruck by you and by Alison on Gavin and Stacey.
Why the hell couldn't you just left it at me?
Well, the truth sometimes just is more complicated, isn't it?
This is Rob Brydon's podcast. It's no place. The truth. Real lovely to see you, Matt.
You too.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming in, and Wonka. It's ended. It's ended.